This episode of The Young Turks is brought to you by Audible.com. So John McCain had come out against torture, which makes sense. He was tortured, and his policy has usually been against enhanced interrogations. I say usually because there was a period in there where he went a little soft, but overall, he's been very good on it, obviously. And he came out recently and said the capturing of bin Laden had nothing to do with so-called enhanced interrogations. Rick Santorum disagrees, and so that's one thing to disagree. A lot of Republicans disagree. But he made the boneheaded decision to question McCain's credentials in this issue. McCain doesn't understand how enhanced interrogation works. You break somebody, and after they're broken, they become cooperative. McCain doesn't understand how enhanced interrogation works? Come on. No one knows about torture better than John McCain. So now, look, you could disagree with him on either side. Doesn't mean he's the ultimate authority. But to say that John McCain doesn't know how it works, well, that's just flat out stupid. So, of course, somebody gets Santorum the memo. They're like, he was tortured for 5.5 years. He's like, oh, really? Well, I didn't. Of course, I didn't mean that. For anyone to infer that, he says that I was questioning his credentials on the issue. He said it would be outrageous and unfortunate. Well, what do you mean to infer it? You said it. You said he doesn't know anything about enhanced interrogation and how it works. I just read you the quote. No, the guy's a dummy, man. And you know what happened? McCain staffers came out, actually a former campaign aide came out and said that Santorum was, you know what, here, I'll give you the exact quote. It was a guy by the name of Mark Salter. He was a former McCain aide, right? He said, for pure blind stupidity, nobody beats Santorum. In my 20 years in the Senate, I've never met a dumber member, which he reminded me of today. I had written like a little editorial for the MSNBC show about how dumb Santorum was. Then I saw that quote. And I was like, see? Okay. And he's a real dummy. Remember what Santorum did? This is one of my favorite Santorum stories. He introduced legislation saying that, we have to cap medical liability at $250,000. We got to do tort reform. All these people are suing doctors for too much money. It's got to be kept. He's co-sponsored for $250,000. They say, hey, Rick, your wife 6 years earlier, now he introduced it in 2005, that happened in 1999. 6 years earlier, actually sued a doctor for $500,000, and you supported him. He's like, oh, really? Quote, of course I'm going to support my wife in her endeavors. So what is the bill? If you are screwed over by an actor, you're limited at $250,000, but if Rick Santorum's wife thinks she's screwed over, she gets to have more? By the way, her claim was that she had back problems because of something a doctor did, and that she grew depressed because she was too fat. And Rick Santorum's like, well, that kind of damages. The jury gave her $350,000. The judge thought it was so excessive that he cut it in half. You know what her medical expenses were? They were a little over $18,000, according to her. Okay, let's take it at face value, $18,000, right? She asked for $500,000 anyway. And then her husband says, well, obviously I support her, but for everyone else, I'd like to do a $250,000 cap. It's both stupid and a great indication of what Republicans think about you. They think, well, the rules are for you people, middle class, etc. No, not for us. We get to get whatever money we want. Rick Santorum, a rare and wonderful combination of loathsome and incredibly stupid at the same time.
If you don't feel like reading a book and you want to listen to it, all you got to do is go to audible.com and you can download a book onto your iPod or MP3 player. In fact, just the other day, I was listening to 1984, my favorite book. And they have over 75,000 titles to choose from. So you can get a free audiobook if you go to audiblepodcast.com/TYT.